What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Talking in Bits, where we walk you through Bitcoin bit by bit so we can provide you with the information you need to succeed and persist. Back with episode 37. Got Ben in the house? Nothing much, man. We were just talking about it. We don't got nothing for 37.
Yeah.
Nothing fancy.
It's really simple, guys. Like, you don't have to be on your phone looking at the price of Bitcoin every day.
Right.
Just stack more sats, stay humble, and like you don't have to worry about anything.
It's pretty easy, yeah.
Yeah, it's automatic.
So it's kind of hard to come in here week after week. We were just talking about it. Not because it's hard to talk about Bitcoin. We talk about Bitcoin all the time, every day. But because of that, because we want to make it fresh for y'all. We want to make this exciting. We don't want to keep talking about redundant stuff. And there's a lot of noise out there right now.
Facts.
Yeah, and the noise is basically a lot of coming from, politics as usual. People running away when politics announcements as usual, which is what the price did.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I have that for later in the episode, and we will talk deeper about it. But guys, whenever you see the price drop really fast, there's a reason for it, usually. Yeah. And it's usually people just scared of FUD.
Yeah. I mean, the last big dip we had at 64K, as time rolled on, it was like, oh, well, the miners in China got banned. They probably took profits because they needed to relocate 10,000 Bitcoin miners across the country.
Yeah.
Couple that with, another whale selling things off. Like, if someone imports 3,000 coins to an exchange, immediately people are looking at supply and demand.
Yeah.
And those big players do those things, and the rest of us kind of feel it. You're not in trouble unless you sell. So it's just like, if you're holding this thing long term, there's really nothing to worry about.
Right. It's just was that like near the Elon time too, when that big thing? Or was that like 40 to 30, something like that, right?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, it's always. I remember a gentleman I used to work with, an older gentleman, that was always saying, "Listen, whenever something comes out from the White House, people are going to react or whatever." So I don't know the details of the latest legislation, but it's crypto targeted.
Yeah,
is what it sounds like.
Same deal with the stock market and news. Goes like the same way. But there's pending cryptocurrency legislation that's being worked on.
Yeah.
You got these really old dinosaur senators who, really don't understand technology in general, never mind Bitcoin, who have, particular things to say about it and to try and sway the vote. Are they funded by bankers? Most likely. Will they, destroy whatever interferes with that? They'll try to, but they can't. So again, don't worry about it. Just keep stacking sats. You get cheaper Bitcoin. It's a good day. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
Someone had tweeted like real Bitcoiners want the price to go down.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
What do they call it? Blood on these streets, right? Like,
Facts.
it's time to come out here and pick them up because everybody's dropping their pants, dropping their bags. I agree with that. I don't know. I just don't think anything that they do matters, but I can see where somebody who's not as convicted as I am or knows as much as I am about Bitcoin would waver at that. They're talking about one of the key things that stick out is the $600 cap on accounts. Did you hear about that?
The IRS target?
Yeah, they're trying to monitor. I think this is all part of one cohesive bill. And I don't know jack about politics. I'm the last guy to talk about politics. So I may be wrong. But two things that stuck out to me is they're going hard on crypto. I have to say the word crypto because that's the general context of where Bitcoin falls. But they're targeting crypto. And overall, the IRS is targeting $600 transactions.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but that's like a car note for some people. Like, that's like 600 is an everyday transaction. And maybe I'm speaking out of privilege here, or.
Well, what they really want is, the all-seeing eye over your finances.
Which is weird.
24/7.
They could kind of do that already, though. So to announce that it has to be.
It probably takes like more work.
I don't know.
What it sounds like from some of the things that I've been reading, it's like they want bankers to change the way they're doing things so they can kind of see things like instantaneously. And
so they want to change what they see, but they already see.
They could, they
already see. Like let's not.
Jason Williams' book, he made a big purchase, and the feds were at his door.
Right, okay.
So I'm like, all right, well, when do the feds get involved? Probably over a certain number, but over $600.
Yeah.
That's like everyone's account in America.
That's mortgage, right? That's,
you know what I mean?
The basic stuff. That's a little bit harsh. I don't know.
So the question is, how do we get around that?
With what? Because the easy answer is vote.
How do we work on financial privacy? Right. So some people would they would get their paycheck and then they would buy a credit card on Moon Wallet and then they would buy anonymously through that, or they would have some type of anonymous card.
Cash. Cash. Listen, all right, so I'll take $598. Well, you can't because you have to round it. But you know what I'm saying? So I'll take my cap in cash and just, I don't know if that's excessive, but yeah, maybe Moonwallet. When problems get presented, people start developing solutions will come about. So I'm sure this will be a thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know how they can get away with. It's just a waste because they can see it all, and they could have done it sort of like the NSA. They could have done it quietly. So it's like for you to kind of pronounce the number 600, it's like I think it's more like dropping my balls here. Like it's a strut more than it is a. But back to last week, Ray Dalio was saying that the government will stop it. I think they're trying to. And the irony behind that is that, and this is my thinking. I was watching Swamp Bitcoin drop the documentary. I don't know when it was they dropped it, but it was recent. I checked it out. And as I'm watching this, I'm like, there isn't a single person in this world that can watch something like this, like the argument for Bitcoin, and say, that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
So for these politicians and these fossils to feel that way, I kind of just think they're mad that they didn't find it first.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're just upset at the nature of having to say this is anonymous. I don't really think it's a power trip because they got money. They don't need it.
Yeah. No. It's, I mean, for them, it's. I agree with you. It's a power trip.
Yeah.
But it's, it's what they're doing before extinction. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're fighting hard. Yeah.
People are moving to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do to stop it.
Yeah.
And I forget his name. But he talks a lot about, how Bitcoin is peace.
Yeah.
Max Kaiser. And he talks about, like taking your money out of the state, or vice versa. When you leave your money with the state, it fuels wars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you take their resources away, they can't sit here and drone bomb 7 kids like what just happened 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean? Like, so that's his argument on how Bitcoin is peace. But these people destroy economies, lives, empires, and who like gets the worst of it? You know what I mean? The people, not the politicians. So
yeah, I think it's I don't know, a few people I've heard say this. I don't know who it is, but the whole currency there can only be one currency, right?
Yeah.
So this is an obvious battle between the U.S. dollar and Bitcoin. Now that stage has been drawn, like kind of put together, I think it's your move, right? Federal government, USD, like El Salvador and all these things was our move. Now it's your move, and I think they're gonna fight. They're facing extinction, but once again, like I used to think like it's the incentives of the dollar, and in part it could be they're doing it because of how much money they have and they want to keep that control. I really think in this situation, because they could just kind of partner up with Bitcoin and still be able to be powerful.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So
that's the smart move.
That's the
start mining.
That's the best
and incentivize your people to mine.
Well, I mean, just let it be a standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then get ahead, and then
get your taxes in it, get your parking tickets in it. I got a letter the other day. Hey, you have a warrant because you didn't pay to renew your title.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh well, this is my first notice on this. Like, why isn't that a text message to me if it's imminent? You know what I mean? You got my number.
They definitely got the number for sure.
So obviously I pay that immediately, but like, what if I didn't see that and then I got pulled over? Like, it's super annoying. But they could collect all that every year,
exactly,
in Bitcoin.
Yeah,
like that's enough to DCA for a whole year.
So that's my point.
If you have 200,000 people in your city,
and they're winning for sure. But that's my point. I think it's just a wham.
They don't know.
We didn't find. No, I think it's we didn't find it first.
Yeah.
Like imagine that as a person. Never mind as a whole entity, right? Like imagine that as a person being like, "Yo, I have this much control over a situation." And now this thing is coming, and not only making somebody else in charge of it, but nobody's in charge of it. Yeah. Like it just works with nobody. That's the threat that I think they see. They wish they were
decentralization.
They wish they were Satoshi.
Power. Yeah.
Right. And it's going. The hill is slanting very fast.
Yeah.
And I think this legislation is the first moving of that, the first move from the U.S. The USD side, the fiat side.
I got one thing for you.
Hit me.
Had a wedding this weekend.
Yep.
Right. The groom is a banker from a very big bank that everyone knows of. I asked him, if he has any Bitcoin exposure. He said yes. And then I see another friend who is a financial advisor, and we were talking about it. And I saw him at the ceremony, and then got to talk with him at the reception. And the first question I asked him, like, "Hey man, how much USD has been printed this year?" 40%.
Yeah.
Well, within the last year.
I was laughing.
40%. And, we started having this conversation. He's like, oh, I think it's good to have, cryptocurrency exposure with a portion of your portfolio. He's like, but I think to be all in on Bitcoin or anything else is crazy. And I'm like, yeah, that's your opinion, bro.
It is.
Like, yo, we've printed 40% of all money.
Yeah.
To be 100% in that is crazy.
Yeah. No, I get crazy. I listen. I'm self-reflective, right? So it's like I'm 100% in, and I still be like, that is a form of crazy.
Yeah,
it's a form of like no, all those old metaphors, no trampoline underneath you, no net, like all these things. But yeah, I see your argument too, which is if you know what I know, I got the strongest net of all time. So that's funny.
Yeah, so interesting conversation. I'm going to be meeting with him soon. I know we'll talk more about it, so it'll be cool.
Got to definitely talk more about it. But
it's cool to encounter some bankers and kind of talk to them about it. And
I've had that privilege lately as well too.
Because they've gone from like, no, don't buy it to, oh yeah, you should have some exposure.
Yeah, I get those guys. I get those guys that are like, nah, they don't know what they don't know. We know.
So the groomman said, I do have Bitcoin exposure.
Yeah.
I'm not a part of the old guard.
Meaning what? I'm
not a part of the old system.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I
thought that was cool.
I wish I wasn't either. Kudos to him. He knows a lot more than the majority.
Yep.
And sometimes it's obvious, like that whole argument of
you look at the 10-year returns: Bitcoin, S&P 500, real estate, gold.
Yeah.
Tesla. What is the best performing? Year over year over year over year over year.
I'll speak personally though, but like we talked about it last week too, of like upbringings and knowing and stuff. Out of all those things you know, gold is the only thing that I've ever been even put onto. So all that stuff is foreign, period.
Yeah.
So it's a very select crowd that can even go through that list and say
Facts.
These are your only chances to double up and come up and all that. I think it's just deeper than value is just more than what we can buy. I think this is a freedom thing, right? Obviously, this is and it's one of those things where
that's a shirt, bro.
I'm sure it exists somewhere. We didn't make that up. That was Alex Gladstein, I think.
Yeah.
But cool stuff on that end. But I think they're gonna lose. I know they're gonna lose, which is why I'm crazy. But I do understand somebody from the outside that hasn't done as much work as we have to be like, y'all just bugging, like y'all crazy. Like I saw somebody who I know who is an avid Bitcoiner that was like, y'all thinking the US dollar is going to die anytime soon, and that's false.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm divided. Like, I feel like eventually all nations crumble and all dollars crumble, and they want to put us on the CBDC, where it's the central bank digital coin, where you have no financial privacy, and, should you say things online that they don't like, I think it's as easy as a button. To mute you.
I'm with suddenly,
which is crazy.
Yeah.
So I see both scenarios. What's gonna happen? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with suddenly. I don't think this plays out into a long draw where they roll out something out. I think this is you wake up in the morning and, as we've heard before, 90% of your wealth is gone. I think it's one of those things.
It happened not too long ago.
And it will continue to happen. It's like a history with fiat. And this isn't even specific to the US dollar. It's just...
No, it's all fiat currencies.
Right. So it's
all governed by politicians.
That's another argument that I don't understand with people. It's like, what makes the US dollar different?
When I learned that, when Max Kaiser was like, every fiat supply gets devalued like 99% in X amount of time, I'm just like, well, what's the issue? And when you dig deep, it's like, it's obvious.
To me, it's the connection, right? So like, as you know, I practice Stoicism. So to me, it was one of those things where it's like, I was already hearing about Nero debasing, the Roman dollar, the Roman coin back then. I just didn't understand what that meant.
Yeah.
Like, when I'm reading this stuff, I'm like, oh, so he just changed some rules. But now as a Bitcoiner, it's like, oh, and then the collapse happened.
Yeah.
Like, so that gentleman who I know, and I don't like to call people out, and he's a real Bitcoiner, to sit here and say that, it's going to take a long time before the US dollar die, I don't think so.
Yeah.
You said it yourself. I mean, I laughed when I was, so they're printing another 1.5.
Yep.
And then there's like a subsidy of 3.5 with it. That's another 4 true.
You can't, for
what
context,
is this?
You cannot count to 1 trillion without dying. That's how big the number is, fam.
That's funny
you
as
can't
shit.
count to 1 trillion without dying
Listen,
first.
they're just
that's a tweet, man.
I didn't know that. You should tweet that. I had no. That is funny. But if I'm not mistaken, they have 1.5 already nailed in, with another 3.5 pending or about to sign in with it. What is happening? What is happening?
They intentionally want to crash the system to introduce a new one.
Sure. So suddenly, because you're not doing this slow, you're crashing the shit out of everything. Life is getting hard for everybody.
House prices out here year over year.
Yep.
A $290,000 house is now $350,000.
Wow.
60 grand.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
For nothing happening.
For nothing but the market doing what it's doing. And like, it's good if you own and have equity, but if you don't and you're trying to get in.
That's the part that I think about. It's like, for as many people are coming up on this, and you know, I've had the privilege now of being able to walk my kids to school. So it's like all the for sale signs that I see on houses now.
Yeah.
Like, people are coming up, but just as many people are coming down. They're getting crushed by this.
Well, if you buy right now at a profit, you're still going into the next property buying at the top of a market. So like, you came up, but did you really come up?
I know you know more about that shit, but I don't trust nothing about like house stuff, because as a homeowner, I'm gonna tell you what, the probably last thing that I feel is that I have full ownership of this house.
Yeah.
That's the ironic part. You know, people say buy a house so you could feel like you could run the shot and unless you have like some acres and a farm, I don't really think you're calling any shots anywhere. You're just paying somebody.
You're paying the bank.
Huh?
You're paying the bank.
Well, not even that. You're just kind of like pretend owning the house. Like you're taking care of the house.
Yeah.
And that's very ironic. So like, if there's another wave, bubbles, crashing, going up real estate, come up, like, I don't trust none of that.
Yeah.
That's a weird game to be in. And people are coming up, but for as many people are coming up, as many people down. Let's sum up this section, which is basically saying this is a race between two currencies. There is no other currency that's matching. It's Bitcoin standard versus the fiat standard. I have every reason and every intention to believe, I guess till death, which makes me crazy, that the Bitcoin standard has to win out, and it will win out.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
When you look at both sides, it's a no-brainer.
It's a no. Right. When you have no horse in the game, right? And I guess that goes against me because I'm a Bitcoiner, so I have a. But when you go, like, when you don't have the power.
Yeah.
And you get to sit there and rationally look at both sides. As me, somebody who is watching this video and the information is organized for you, this makes sense, man.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, it's like,
it's like, hey, look at history and look at how the politicians
but not even that
mess things up.
Just like when you think about like futuristic thinking, right? Like we were promised flying cars, we were promised these things. I'm not saying Bitcoin is doing that, but when you think about the Bitcoin mining industry and being able to get nasty fossil fuels and turn them into clean energy, to then be able to pump that clean energy back into some type of profitable way in life, jobs, wealth. It's like, as a system from structure to structure, you get a new futuristic world.
Absolutely.
That's run on this.
Wakanda
natively.
Was built on Bitcoin.
Yeah, sure. That's another tweet. I've never been to Wakanda.
Like that's what we were promised, and we're not seeing it.
It's this magical world, but it's there, right? Because now you move into a situation where everything is connected, with a currency that's been connected since day one, that's built to be connected.
Yeah.
And that everybody in the world can own it, share it, and do as they will with it. This is a no-brainer.
And here's a business idea. Just in the context of incentivizing people to, want to mine or to own Bitcoin and acquire. If you had a solar panel system that would connect to a pool that would give you sats.
Yeah.
One. And or if you had like a stream in the backyard, or even if you put up like a wind turbine or something.
Yeah.
Like, how do you turn that into sats instead of like an energy credit?
Sure,
you know what I mean?
It's a win across the. It'll be futuristic thinking, and
another. Even the gym stuff, bro. I'm at the gym and I'm like, bro, how soon before the Stairmaster gives me sats for me spinning this?
Sure,
you know what I mean.
That's a really good. That could actually happen at any
That could happen
time.
now, bro.
But how many people are gonna be generating energy? I've seen people at the gym. I'm saying they ain't generating nothing, but Dunkin' Donuts costs.
Listen, if I'm poor, I'm in the gym all day.
Oh, like you mean they give it back? I thought you meant like the gym owner gets it just for power in the device.
No. I mean like the user. So like if you put that time on a Stairmaster treadmill, whatever.
Incentive
the
be
rower,
fit.
Right? You do that. It powers a battery. The battery powers a miner.
Yeah.
And then you get paid.
Yeah, sure.
You know
that another clean way of doing things, incentivizing people to be better, to be healthier. That's a good example. I was thinking on a bigger scale where it's like you capture this natural gas, you bring it into miners, but then the miners are also exhausting energy. That's where the heat comes from. That's where, they have to do their work to exhaust energy.
Right.
You recapture that exhausted energy and turn it into electricity again and get it to power houses, or you turn it into anything different that you can do. You could power different facilities and do whatever you want with that. You've literally just taken something that's a complete waste to human species, which is flared gas, and as we know, completely turned it around to power a small community cleanly, smoothly, and proficiently.
Jason Williams' facility
Yeah.
is they're basically getting all the excess old tires.
Yeah.
And they melt them down. So he's like, these things are usually an
I
eyesore.
don't think that's clean, but it's smart.
But it's, so he's like, these 18-wheelers, the tires turn into eyesores, big, industrial commercial tires. They get laid around everywhere. They're an eyesore. They're bad for the community. They take them, and then they take regular car excess ones, melt them down, and turn them into like 5 different things, and then they capture energy.
Yeah.
And heat. And so it's like, it incentivizes now to do that with tires. I'm sure they can do that with recycling trash.
Where's that waste going, though?
They wholesale it, and it's reused.
Like like the exhaust of melting tires. Where's this?
That's captured, and it's used as energy.
In what way? Like a converter? I mean, what do you mean?
He has a technical.
As long as it's not being, I don't.
He
really
has
care about
the scientific breakdown. It's super technical.
Yeah, I mean, my point is as long as it's not going back into the air, I think.
Yeah, I don't think it's going back.
I think it's smart.
I don't think it's going back in the air.
Yeah. It's smart then. It's smart. And you're right. It incentivizes people to be creative and to be able to flip stuff. I mean, when we got our flying cars, you won't be able to have tires. But it's just a way to do dirty shit that we're doing to harm ourselves and harm this planet, which is also very narcissistic of the human species. I don't know how many movies y'all be watching, but we ain't going nowhere else. Not our lifetime. Maybe a few other lifetimes. But we ain't going nowhere else. So I don't know why everybody's acting like, I'm not going to go as far as to say these like code green words and stuff like that. No. I'm just saying as a whole, we fucking up the only place we got left to be. And that's very strange of me. And strange of me, strange of humans, narcissistic. But that's a completely different thing. If you can, once again, no brainer. You can do all this clean stuff, all this powerful stuff. And it's already built in, meaning that you don't have to invent this. It's already there. You just have to reach for the incentives and do it the smart way and do it the ethical way. And everything goes good. I think this is a good segue to talk about the at-home compass mining thing that they announced.
Let's talk about that. They got a whole bunch of extra miners, huh?
I think so. Why would they do that? They went from saying that they barely have enough, right? I don't know if you were getting that message.
Yeah.
Like, you better get them before they go out.
Yeah.
So now, like, you can buy them and send them to your crib.
Well, months ago, they had more like M31s, cheaper miners. Right now, they really only have S19s, which are at today's price like 8,200 and up.
Yeah.
So they had more before, but those would still fly.
They're trying to get rid of the ones that people gave back.
Yeah.
And they actually made that an option. Like, we'll resell it. But the bullshit thing that I hate about bullshit marketing is this is the same thing they did when they tried to do like the pleb console for mounting.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like, y'all just leaning into stupid shit. So all of a sudden now it's about the at-home pleb mining or whatever. And because you have extra miners. Like, I'm not even in your internal discussions and I can see this.
Yeah.
So it's like,
that has to be frustrating. I'd be pretty frustrated if I were you. Just having to wait.
I mean, we talked about it. They gave great choices.
Yeah.
It's not on them. But don't turn around and try to find a quick marketing scheme to turn around your fault. Matter of fact, come back and talk to me about what really happened in South Carolina. You were talking about it. How hard is it to get one of these places up?
From 0 to 100, it's going to take a long time because one S19 uses 3,200 watts of power. That is a lot. That's like 2 dryers, or maybe 1 dryer.
And maybe I missed
one and
it.
a half.
We spoke about the 5-hour conversation too.
Yeah.
Maybe they did talk about it.
Yeah.
But like on the verbatim.
They should send out a technical email. Like, hey, here's a detailed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not for nothing, I'm on their email list. They send out detailed mining information like every week.
Sure.
As a good resource. So maybe I doubt it's in the email, but maybe if we tweet them, they'll put pen and paper or something.
And maybe they got to be transparent. And also, I've gotten a little bit of insight that whole compass mining IRA thing is a fad. It's actually a pretty bad idea.
I didn't even hear about it.
I think they're offering it. They're either partnering up with somebody, but the fact of the matter is they're promoting that as a cool thing to do.
Is it like mining into an IRA?
I believe so.
Gotcha.
And
so their profits aren't taxed.
I'm the last dude in the world to talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
But I will say I have heard enough conversation to say that that's a fad and it's probably a bad idea. Do your research if you guys are looking into doing that.
Yeah.
I know sometimes we got newer Bitcoiners, so you might not be there yet. But that's a very dangerous thing to kind of traverse into. This is not tax advice.
Mm-hmm.
We don't give tax advice or any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that's a new thing. And usually with new things, be very careful.
Yeah.
New things break very fast. You don't want to be the guinea pig. You want to be the person who benefits from all the other guinea pigs. So yeah, but compass mining, at home mining. Look, if you're looking for a miner, I mean, I found my miners thankfully pretty easy. Offhand, you can too. But if Compass is your only way to buy a miner and get it to your house, I'm still with that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if they got extra inventory and whatever happened. Get your hands on a miner.
I will say this. Someone had said S19s right now are based like the lowest price they're seeing is 10 grand, and Compass has them for 82, 84.
There you go.
So like, if that is true, that's cool.
Yeah.
But every time I look at miner prices, they're crazy.
Go get a What's Miner, y'all.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, even when I was looking at What's Miners, I was looking at the Compass price, and then I was trying to find a baseline price outside of that.
Yeah.
And they had the best price then with those as well.
Yeah, so, that whole buying a miner market is still kind of up in the air. Just get your hands on one.
Yeah, there's some scams in there too. So be extremely careful if you're on the hunt for a miner.
And a lot of risk, right? Because it's nearly impossible to get a brand new miner.
Yeah.
With like manufacturer's warranty and all that stuff. So you usually buy them secondhand, and even the seller can't promise you that your miner won't blow up or hash out.
There's no. Yeah. With cars, you have mileage that you see. With Bitcoin miners, I don't think you see the hours.
No, no, unless you tracked it from day one, and even that's hard because once again, how do you get a brand new miner? I don't think you can. I mean, Big Pockets can maybe because they order like 500 at a time or something like that. But I don't think the average pleb is getting a brand new miner off the shelf. But if Compass is the way to do it, they do have a bunch of extra ones because they fucked up. Pick them up. If your electricity's dope, go back to our previous episodes. That's a good way to talk. We talk about mining a lot. Just do your homework on the mining. If it works out for you in your house, you guys are listening to this podcast with two S9s running in the background.
Can't hear them.
It's not that bad. Get that sat on.
In the winter, it heats that room.
Yeah, I got a good venting outside, but there is a way to flip that around and be able to change things.
I've seen a few plebs like, in the winter, I just mine.
I've seen the hot tub thing. Have you seen the hot tub thing?
That's fire.
Dudes are getting the bubbles from the hot tub from the miners just fanning out, dude.
That is fire. I like that idea just because it's like techie cool.
Yeah, and I would rock with it. I'd be in that all day.
That is dope.
But yeah, dudes are getting but it goes back to this is a no-brainer if you look at it. If you're fighting against this, you're mad that you're not the first to figure it out. And like a narcissistic tendency to be like, nah, I need to be the first one. Or as an organization, mad that Satoshi was smarter than a whole federal movement, which is, it's one of those things. But at home mining, get it. Compass you up and down with me. I'm looking forward to getting my miner online. Yeah. I understand that I'm investing in mining with you guys. Hurry up and get my shit online. Yeah. You guys didn't delay in taking my transaction. Don't delay this one. And don't give me the hype of we're working our asses off to figure it out.
Yeah.
If you were to work your ass off, I'm sure that facility would have been up right now. So don't get, ego is the enemy. Don't get caught up in your success as a really profitable mining company to let you make big slip-ups like that. Because, once again, we want to mine, and you guys are promising a mining experience. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Robinhood is testing a wallet to withdraw.
Man.
Welcome.
They screwed a lot of people with the stock manipulation that they put on this year, myself included.
Yeah.
B, they're super late to the party. They're behind the curve.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're screwed because everybody knows their secret. They figured out how they make their business model. I never liked the app. And I always say that selfishly because, I dabbled in app development. So I could kind of spot like shitty apps versus really good apps, usually. And Robinhood was always a very weird app to me. Welcome to the party. If you're listening and you have been listening, you probably won't fuck with Robinhood. There's better alternatives.
Yeah.
Let's go to Strike,
right.
Cash App. And if you're going to trade the other coins, you can shut off the show. You can just go somewhere else. Because, I got nothing for Robinhood. They were PayPal with me. Everything you guys do from here on out, unless it's innovative, it's just going to be following a trend. Right. So basically, you guys are waiting, letting the more forward-thinking companies take the chance. And when you see that it works, you kind of just follow and scoop up the shit that comes out after that. Let's move on. Forget them. We got nodes.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk a little bit about nodes. There's a few of them out there. If this legislation or any time were to be a situation, and we're going to talk about the feds raiding boxes, You get your node. Get a node. It's very cheap. We've talked about it before. Once again, go back. But a quick refresher. I don't care if you do a Get Umbro. That's a popular one.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that has the nice flashy UI. I'm a Raspberry Blitz guy. I will be for as long as Raspberry Blitz is still doing updates. I'm a big believer in open source.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in a company or a person saying, here's my way. You can go do it your way. That's why I'm a big fan of Unchained Capital, because you hold your keys and you can go out. And the reason I'm a big fan of Raspberry Blitz when it comes to nodes is because with a Raspberry Blitz at the very beginning of their like install FAQ, the developers basically say, hey, here's our image file. You can get this up in 10 minutes. Works with Lightning, has all these other apps built into it, all that stuff. Or here's a link where you could just fork it and you can remove all those shitty apps that you don't want. You can get a lightweight client. You could get, all these things or whatever. Get Umbro doesn't allow you to do so. There's MyNode as well. I don't know much about MyNode, but I also don't think they let you do so. So just get one. It's a way to validate your funds. It's a way to make sure that the data is trustworthy because it's yours. There's a lot of other cool features like you could run behind a Tor browser, so your IP address doesn't get compromised and seen. Lightning wallets, channel connecting. I mean, there's a lot of really good things with Node, but I don't know. I used to think people wanted nodes to be altruistic, to basically just be like, I got a node, and to me, it's like, no, learn how to use a node. It's very important. Yeah, it's like your opportunity to have, Bitcoin in your house, in your server, so it doesn't have to escape. We all know the dangers of fetching information on the internet, going out and coming in. Your node is basically like, no, I'm fetching from here. Like, this is my hard drive. I'm querying this hard drive, and I want to make sure that transaction hash, bang, 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 belongs to me, happened, and is confirmed.
I mean, is this why they say don't trust, verify?
It's just a way to verify, but I think that goes across the board, even without a node. You should verify that.
That's what I'm thinking right now. Like you're talking about, when we go third party to a website or third party and fetch that information, like we're trusting that their stuff is legit.
Yeah, and it's a bad idea. So you could like SSH into your node, which means that connection is basically just a local connection, that it doesn't go out. And you could do a lot of things. Yeah, you could connect Wasabi to it. It's actually, I have a setup. You can connect anything to it. It's really good to have Electrum to it. And it's just important because once I make a transaction, I understand that from the very beginning to the very end, I have that information and it's mine to have, and I know it, and I'm not trusting the information coming back from the internet. And get a node up, $200,
right?
Less than that. And I think that market is still shortcoming, meaning that I still think there's a lot of products that come where it's all in one, whereas like you buy it. I could see even like in a Target or a Walmart, like you walk in the electronics section and there's a node sitting there and you could buy it like a modem, right? But it's super important to do. It's super important to have, and it's super cheap. That's weird.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of Bitcoiners that have done really expensive shit and haven't done the basic shit. That's
What's the entry price
for what
to get in on
a
node? Raspberry? Yeah.
Oh, the Raspberry's free.
Gotcha.
It's you need the hardware for.
Oh yeah, what's a couple $100 you were saying?
Yeah, about $200. It changes and depends on how good your Amazon Connect is or whatever.
And with that, you have to assemble a few things.
You got to assemble a few basic things. So you buy a Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Blitz, by the way, has nothing to do with Raspberry Pi. Those are two different things. I know they sound the same. But a Raspberry Pi is basically just a small computer. It's a basic computer, has basic specs, 4 gigs, like a cell phone, sort of. But you can use it to do a lot of things. And people do a lot of automation in their home. People have it as a small computer where they have a display attached to it, and they do that. So to run a Bitcoin node, it's probably better to get a Raspberry Blitz than it is to run it on your device. We've actually had episodes here where I've been running a node and the shit crashes because it's, whenever the blockchain is updating, that node is also extracting that information.
Stealing your memory.
And you're always connected to peers that's how it works, right? Like your node is always connected to 6 or 7 peers where you share the blockchain information with.
LimeWire effect.
You have to be, right? It's how we all make sure that this is true. And when the miner successfully finds a block, that has to propagate, right? Like, everybody doesn't know it at once. A few know it, then a few others know it, then a few others know it.
Spreads across.
Exactly. Your node is just a way to know that information direct from the source. And a Raspberry Blitz is one developer's view on putting that on a nice little like modem-sized computer. You could put a display on it and it shows you information like your onion address and your public key and the statuses. But I have it without a display, and you can kind of hide it like a modem and then just connect to it with your laptop from anything that has an SSH local connection. And Raspberry Blitz has a lot of cool things. BTP server set up in the background. Electrum Rust server set up in the background. I have my own version of mempool inside of my Raspberry Blitz. That's inside of Raspberry Blitz.
Dig that.
Yeah, so you're not even trusting mempool.space. You're trusting the mempool API inside of your own node. And like I said, you link your favorite wallets to it. And, when your wallet fetches information and tries to fetch a new address or tries to do these things, it's coming from you. It's not coming from somebody else. They can't, this happens in mining a lot, by the way. They can't hijack the connection along the way and switch an input, right? So switch the address or switch anything like that. But now more than ever, right? When we talk about like they're trying to ban this and they're putting, regulations on that. And then now more than ever, you need to stop going out to the internet to fetch this information. Now more than ever, you want to interact. Now more than ever, you want to live behind a VPN when at all possible when you're trying to do Bitcoin transactions, right?
Digital
you want this
privacy.
And then the node boosts that up for you because now you understand that not only are you behind your VPN, you're behind Wasabi's Tor VPN, and then you're behind, in Wasabi's example, and then you're behind your Raspberry Blitz's VPN, right? So like you're adding layers of complexity to the actions that you're taking on the internet. So
it's called digital camo.
Yeah, and it's not that bad. It's not that hard. Raspberry Blitz, the very first time, took me a while. I'm not gonna lie. It's Get Umbro will probably be most people's option. I think it's a plug and play from what I hear.
Now, so you don't have to assemble anything with that?
I think you still do.
Yeah,
I think they just give you the image file in a nice one spot. Like,
gotcha.
You could download it into the node, and they probably give you great instructions on how to do it.
Gotcha.
Maybe they even sell you the Raspberry kit with it, right? It comes with a USB. But, the Raspberry Blitz setup is you have to, flash it with a different app. For those that come from Android, flashing your phone's, OS is a common thing. So you have to flash the image file onto the Raspberry Blitz, and then all the files are self-contained, so it starts running itself, starts uploading itself. There's a default password that gets you started, and then you run through the setup. So there's a setup for, like, you have, I believe, 3 passwords on a Raspberry Blitz. Some of them are more crucial than the others. One of them is just like your Lightning wallet and a few other things. But you have like a login password, and then you have like a wallet, seed phrase, things you want to do. But it's step by step. It's pretty easy. Once you get it on the Raspberry Blitz device, I think you're good to go. I think the hard part is flashing for those that don't know how to flash properly. Waiting. If you don't understand SSH, that might be a problem. It's pretty easy, but things like that. So Get Umbro, either way, that works for you. That's a node. You're still getting the Bitcoin core. I just like Bitcoin-focused, friendly developers. And when you talk about giving me options, I like the options.
Yeah.
I'd rather go for the option. And the option, like I said, hey, man, you can do it your way whenever you want. We just did it faster for you. And I heard Raspberry Blitz's UI is going to get a real big boost coming up.
Nice.
So Get Umbro might be shaking in its boots.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get on one of those.
Yeah, sometimes in the past, I'm not gonna lie, I've had it since last November. In the past, sometimes you do. I have felt like, I'm not using it much. This is a waste of money, right?
Yeah.
Because it's plugged into your wall all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's very minimal. It's a small computer. It's a small fan. It's not doing much to the end. Your internet should be unlimited if you're connected to a spot. And I've learned because of that, you learn to use it in other places, right? Streaming sats to the podcast and doing these other things and opening channels with other people. So it's still interesting, but if you don't use the node, you may feel like it's a worthless thing to have plugged in.
Yeah. Now, when people were signaling for Taproot, was that the miners that were signaling for that? Or
no,
was that the nodes?
The nodes.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. So that also gives you voting functionality?
Yeah, in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Like you can still run, there's still people running. I think we're up at 22, which is the recent release of Bitcoin. There's still people probably running like 19. So it doesn't break, anything for you. But yeah, you could opt out to not have the new features for as long as you can. Usually it's a pretty long time because like Android, actually, Bitcoin is very backwards compatible. Like they do a really good job of making sure that even the older wallets and the older devices still are plugged in somehow and still work as far as they can. There may be a few exceptions there. Android is the same way. You can still develop for Android. Lollipop. You could go as far back as Gingerbread. And still make it work, right? So that's very hard to maintain.
Yeah.
But it's a key focus. So it's what we talk about the nodes? Yeah. Make sure you got what was the question about?
Just voting functionality.
Yeah, voting functionality. Yeah. So you could vote. Non-vote isn't that you just shut off your node. Non-vote, my point that I was trying to make, thanks for reminding me, is that you could still run and not vote yes.
Yeah.
But the miners they gave the miners an opportunity to do it their way.
Right.
That's what happened this time around. It was like, hey, we're gonna try something out. We're gonna let you guys signal, so we don't have to force you guys to do it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, even if the miners didn't signal, I think there's a hard fork, right? So it was a way for us to do it without a hard fork, which is important. And the miners were down with it, so here we got Taproot. But it's supposed to make that Lightning experience better. Oh, that's another thing about Raspberry Blitz. It's not just a Bitcoin full node; it's a Lightning node on top of it.
Gotcha. So you can run a Lightning channel.
Correct. That's
And if you have liquidity, you'll get to stake more transactions or have more transactions on your channel.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about the liquidity part, but yeah, you have all the benefits of opening and closing channels and being able to do some things. So yeah, cool. There's a difference. There's a bunch of different nodes. There's a miner node. There's a Bitcoin core node which has the blockchain and has the necessary files to be able to query the chain and all that stuff. And then there's a Lightning node which uses the blockchain as a foundational layer to be able to interact with the network.
Gotcha.
Raspberry Blitz. I think all nodes are Lightning nodes as well.
Gotcha.
But there is a distinction. A Lightning node is not a Bitcoin full node, and a Lightning node requires a Bitcoin full node, not the other way around.
Gotcha.
A Bitcoin full node runs. You can run that on a laptop. You can run it whenever you want.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So cool. Good time to secure those sats. Get your node up. You want to talk about the feds raiding the boxes real quick before we go?
Yeah, no, I saw someone had said the feds were raiding boxes. These
bank
are
boxes, right?
Bank boxes, safety deposit boxes where you trust your, most dear possessions with other people. And, let's not put our private keys there.
Nothing. Yeah. And I hear of a lot of people doing that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people do that because they hear that famous story about the Winklevoss twins or whatever. Where they have like, bad idea. Yeah. Extremely bad idea. I see it as like one place you put it.
Unless it's like in a code. You know what I mean? Like I was thinking like, all right, if you have your seed phrase.
I know what you mean.
Instead of having letters, but use the numbers for the letters. Or
split them.
Create something or split it or do some trick where
there's 12
the average
here, there's 12 over there.
Yeah, the average person, like even if they have this, they can't figure out. They still can't figure it out because you designed it that way. So, it's one of those things.
Yeah, just go back to the pleb way, man. Like, why introduce another party when there's a gazillion different ways? Go check out the plebs on Twitter. A gazillion different ways to store your keys. Yeah. So it's like, this is what happens.
I saw that thing that you were talking about. It's kind of like those metal pieces. I think they were like metal rings.
Like cogs or whatever? Yeah.
And I think they just had they just had them basically engraved.
But how they maintained it, right? It was like a
it's some little device. It's like super tight, small. It's like it looks like a tool, bro. Like you can't even tell. Like it's incognito.
Yeah. So once again, why am I going to trust the bank with it? And back to the house reference, we don't own none of this shit.
Yeah.
We don't own none of this shit. We're just made to believe that we own stuff, and we swap fiat dollars for that feeling. Like, oh, I own this. Here's a bunch of money that I spent a long ass time getting for you. And at the end of the day, I don't own any of this because you'll come in here and tell me to get the hell out of here and all that stuff. So, yeah.
You can own the house, but you don't own the land.
But you own your Bitcoin.
Or you don't pay your taxes and everything is gone. It's confiscated.
And they still can't take the Bitcoin.
But they can't take your Bitcoin. Bro, if I'm trapping right now, I'm holding all my dough in Bitcoin.
Yeah, trappers. Yeah, but then they get stuck on those KYC on-ramps. And then the peer-to-peer trading is still kind of...
Yeah, I don't know if ATMs are KYC.
Yeah, but they ain't out there, though.
They're out there, bro.
I haven't seen them.
There's a few in Worcester.
Yeah.
There's a few in Providence. There's a handful in Boston.
So you just put cash in it and it gives you Bitcoin?
I haven't done it. Next time I'm gonna pull up on one.
And there's a camera right on top of that ATM machine.
Yeah, there's that. You just pull in with a mask though. You know
what
hit him with the double mask, right?
Hey, whatever it takes. Maybe I'll use one of those ATMs. But yeah, listen, not just trapping. If you value anything that you're willing to save, the best saving technology of all time is in Bitcoin. If you want to invest in it, that's cool. But savings technology, hands down, nothing better ever exists. They can't take it from you. They can take it all from you except Bitcoin. Just keep on fighting, y'all. Got anything else for the people?
That's all, bro.
Episode 37, guys. If you're watching on YouTube, please rate, share, subscribe. Hit that bell, hit the red button. That's how you get on, and that's how you get notifications for the subscriptions. If you have a node, now that we were talking about it, listen to the podcast on your favorite 2.0 powered apps. You'll be able to stream them some sats and show them some love. We really appreciate that. If you donate to the show, hit us up with an email. We'll thank you on the show, and that's also fantastic. But if you don't have any sats that you're willing to part with and you don't have a node, it's all right. You can check us out on all your favorite podcast platforms, from Apple to Spotify to Google to anyone that you're listening to right now. We appreciate you guys as always, Ben.
That's all, bro.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you, man.
Likewise.
Later, guys.